Hey everyone, this is PrinceWatercress, and welcome back to Let's Play Snail Trail. I decided to see if I could do this again for the long play. And the quality of the first video really wasn't that good as far as audio-visual stuff was concerned. It didn't really look all that good. So here I am doing some post-commentary on this footage. Starting off with the easiest difficulty setting yet again, and it was pretty easy to know what to do with the pink mazes. I might as well go into detail about the audio-visual quality of the last video. It really wasn't all that up to snuff. I'm still trying to learn how best to use OBS, how to make those videos better, and while they're not super great, they're not terrible either, but I still want to improve. And once again, super easy maze to get through. So, if you're wondering why there's a really wild quality difference between this video and the last, that's why. Also, I remembered that I should really be going to the north instead of the south. You really got to work backwards with these mazes, and you got to be able to do it pretty quickly. But that is the pink maze is complete. It's on to the blue mazes. Blue mazes are a little more complex, as you can see. And I get through these just as easily as I get through the pink ones. Back to the subject of the audio-visual quality, I still may lose some frames here and there. But other than that, I think the videos will be much better from here on in. Though again, I'm still trying to improve the use of OBS, not only for the Sony PlayStation 2, but also other systems that I can't really emulate very well with the Windows 10 recorder, the Windows 10 game bar, if you will, like BBC Micro or Commodore 64, that require a 50 frames per second speed in order to record. Not really the best way to put that, but well, let's just say that Windows 10's own recorder doesn't allow me to record outside of 30 or 60. So, yeah, sometimes I have to use something else, like OBS. And that was easy. The pink and blue mazes, you can get through pretty easily. The green mazes, which we'll see coming up after this one, a little more difficult, but at least you get more time as you go up in difficulty, which is really cool. I also like the fact that you can watch these mazes generate themselves, and while it's pretty nifty on the easier difficulties, it does get a little more annoying as you play through the harder ones because you have to wait longer, even though the game is doing the best it can. At least I'm willing and able to put up with it. And once again, we have gotten through the blue mazes. Now it's time to go through skill level 3, the green mazes, as I try to do this in one shot again. Gonna get a nice drink of tea here. And, yep, we're still waiting. The blue maze would have been drawn up completely by this time. Like I said, you do wait longer the harder the skill level you are on is. And while I should mention that your thing that you're moving is clearly a flashing yellow snail, and it's pretty obvious to tell what it is in the pink mazes and the blue mazes, it's a little harder to tell in the green ones. And when you enter the hardest difficulty mazes, which is the red mazes, you're nothing more than a flashing dot. It's kind of hard to tell what you're paying attention to unless you know right from the start that you start all the way to the left and you have to go all the way to the right. You'll start on a random location all the way to the left, on the very far left. You just have to look up and down with your eyes while you're focusing on that one part of the maze. It can be a little difficult to find yourself at times, especially at the start of the maze. But once you know where you are, what you can do is then look to the other side of the maze, the far right, look for the opening, and try to work backwards from there. This is a strategy that you should use for the green and red mazes, especially the red ones. Because the red mazes that make up the mazes on the hardest difficulty, those will have a lot of twists and turns to them. And you can get yourself in a lot of dead ends unless you start at the end and move your way backwards. Just kind of start at the opening where the end is, and you just look around with your eyes and see, oh, hey, the path goes this way a little bit. It goes north and west, and then you kind of have to go south a little bit. Okay, there's the middle of the maze. I have a good idea of what I should do. You kind of have to do something like that. I know I did. And I was having a little bit of trouble with the green mazes, believe you me. A little bit. I think I almost failed at either one of the blue mazes or one of the green mazes. Thankfully, I was kind of able to get myself out of the dead ends and realize, hey, I got to move over here. Kind of like with, what's it called? That one maze game, which I now can't remember. I'm going to have to look it up. BBC Micro, Devil's Causeway. That's it. Thankfully, I had my laptop on, albeit muted, because I want to watch a YouTube video right after I get done with the vocals for this. You know, like Devil's Causeway, if I reset, I get the same mazes over and over again. And while I was able to get the pink and blue mazes down quite a bit, and I was able to more or less remember most of the green mazes, I kind of had to use my working backward strategy to get through the red ones. And I believe that this is the last of the green ones. This one didn't give me as much trouble as I thought it would, especially when I remembered what I needed to do. Another thing to keep in mind when you're on the harder mazes is that it is harder to stop on a dime. Well, it's always hard to stop on a dime, but it becomes really evident when you play the harder difficulty settings. And you're just moving back and forth and you're trying to just tap the button and you don't stop exactly where you want, which is in front of an opening that you want to go through. It can cost you some time, and it can be a little bit frustrating. Just pay attention. Don't make sure to stop for a fraction of a second before having to realign yourself. Sometimes I tap the button and immediately tap the direction I want to go, and that usually helps me. So if there's a passage to the north that I want to go through, I keep tapping left and right, and in the meantime, I keep tapping up, or what serves as up in this game, in order to make sure that I go north, to ensure that I go in that direction, and I stopped right there, and I went in that direction. Sometimes you just got to do that. And now we're seeing one of the red mazes get drawn up. Even longer than the green mazes when it comes to maze generation. But I appreciate it, to be honest. I do like this. The game has its way of making sure every space is filled. And I like that. I like that a whole lot. And this is what I was talking about with all of the twists and turns. You really just got to pay attention and just look around a little bit and see what you're doing. See where you're going. You got to do that. You got to work backwards. Again, I'm mentioning that strategy. And you want to make sure that you're always making progress. The more progress you make in less time, the better your odds will be at getting through a red maze. Once you beat 3 red mazes, you don't go up any higher in difficulty. You don't get even more shrunken down mazes of a different color. You just stay on the red mazes until you lose, until you run out of time. And when you run out of time, that's a game over. No, you just keep doing red mazes until you can't get through a maze anymore. And after that, you put your score in the high score list, and there you go. I actually played through 5 red mazes just to be sure. So, spoiler alert, I actually get through 3 red mazes here. Again. Took me some effort to do, but I was able to do it. And this is the start of the second red maze. This is where I really start using that backwards working strategy. The art of starting at the very end and moving backwards. Because I've gotten through 1 red maze already. I want to make sure I go through 2 more. And even though the game goes on the hardest difficulty setting forever, even after you beat 3 red mazes, I consider beating 3 red mazes after starting at the easiest difficulty setting and working your way all the way up to the hardest one, and then going through 3 mazes successfully, beating the game. Even better if you can do it on 1 sitting. So, being able to do that on 1 sitting, that's pretty extraordinary. That's probably the best you can do in this game. So now, we've got the opening all the way there on the southeast corner there. Had to think about it for a minute. I kind of scanned my eyes there for a bit. And then I realized, hey, I need to go over here. And me just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That was the thing that I was talking about. You really just got to pay attention to the very tiny flashing dot. Thankfully, you always have breadcrumbs in the form of the black line that tell you, hey, you've been here. It's a good thing I was able to find my way through here really quickly. That's the second red maze completed. Now it's time for the third one. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I don't really know what else much more to say about this game other than it was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. I mean, it's a maze game on a simple 8-bit micro. There's no sound. There's no music. There's no errors in the programming as far as I can tell. What you see is what you get for graphics. And you can get a bit of playing time out of this one if you like maze games like this one. I know that I've mentioned my thoughts on the game before, but I might as well mention them again. I think the generation of the mazes is probably one of the few cons of the game if you're not that patient. But other than that, there's really not much I can complain about with this game. There are more advanced games for the BBC Micro, sure. But this is a good one for something so simple. And yeah, I really use that strategy here. And I was all the way almost right at the corner there, the northwest corner there. And you could tell here that I used a strategy, because I'm not hitting a lot of dead ends. And if I do, or if I think I'm going to hit a dead end, I just quickly look around. Like, I'm not hitting as many dead ends as I did in the first video. And there we go. That is the third red maze completed, which means I did do it again. This time for a long play. But since I felt that the audio-visual quality, or rather the visual quality, of the first video could have been a lot better, because again, I'm learning how to use OBS more effectively, I figured I might as well make a part 2. It's the least I can do. And now we're on the fourth red maze. I really don't know what else to say. I don't really have much else to say. If you can somehow find this game for the BBC Micro, give it a shot. It's a fun little game for something so simple. You may be playing this for a little longer than you would expect yourself, too. So, until then, this is PrinceWatercress. Take care. Stay safe. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later.